Hi and welcome. If you've wanted to grow a successful real estate business but didn't know how, we'd like to introduce you to the best practices of doing it through what's known as real estate farming. Successfully farming an area can generate a strong six-figure income. In fact, we've had a number of clients earn over $100,000 in their first year with our services, so this stuff really works. And this is the first of 6 videos to walk you through step by step exactly how to build a successful farm. In this video, you'll learn the first step of real estate farming, and that is how to select the right place to target. Be sure to check out our website at thelistinggrabber.org to learn how to automate it and have us do it for you if you want. So first of all, what is farming anyway? Simply put, farming is when you pick an area such as a geographic location and focus your marketing efforts in it over an extended period of time to become the dominant agent. You'll find that most of the top real estate agents get there through farming, and when done properly, you can easily earn a multiple six-figure income through farming. In fact, many agents routinely earn $300,000 to as much as $800,000 a year or more. Having become one of the recognized experts in real estate farming, we're often asked how to do it, and there are many facets to successful farming, each one being important to building the entire picture. If you miss one, it can make a huge impact on your results, and that's what this 6-part video series is all about. It's our answer to how do you do it, so we hope that you enjoy it. Selecting the right area to farm is the number one most important element in farming. Real estate farming is similar to agricultural farming. The first step is you must pick the right area to farm. If you pick the wrong area, nothing grows, and this is the single most important part of successful farming. Imagine trying to grow corn, cotton, soybeans, or anything else, and picking a rocky desert area to plant in. You'll be lucky getting anything to sprout, much less producing a harvest. However, if you picked a soft, fertile, well-irrigated plot of land, you'll have a bumper crop. And this is similar to picking the right geographic area for your real estate farm. There are 3 main ingredients in picking the right area. The first is picking an area where you have a good number of homes that sell every year. In technical terms, we call it turnover. Turnover is the number of homes that sold in the last 12 months divided by the total number of homes. So, for example, let's say you pick an area of 1,000 homes. If 70 homes sold in the last 12 months, that means you have a 7% turnover rate. That's simply 70 divided by 1,000. Why is this important? Because turnover tells you what type of potential you have to get a listing. So think about it. Suppose you have 2 areas of 1,000 homes. Area 1 had 70 homes that sold last year, and Area 2 had 2 homes that sold last year. In which area do you think you'll have a better chance at getting a new listing? Yeah, Area 1, right? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? The more sales going on, the more opportunity for you to get a listing. So the first rule of thumb is selecting that great farm is looking at the turnover rate. Now, there's no real magic number on what the turnover rate should be. It's all relative. The primary key is finding the area with the most sales going on. And what that means is you're looking for an area when you're looking for that area to farm, you need to research a number of areas and pick those with the highest turnover rates. Now, since the goal of farming is to dominate an area to earn the most money, then the second most important thing to consider is the average sales price. Let's say you found 2 farm areas, both in equal size, with the identical number of sales in the last year. However, one has an average sales price of $200,000, and the second has an average sales price of $500,000. If you were to pick one of those 2 areas to farm, if all else is equal, which area are you likely to make the most money in? Yeah, it's pretty obvious again, isn't it? You'll make 2.5 times more selling the more expensive homes. So a second key to consider in picking a farm is the average sales price. In most cases, the higher the sales price, the better the area, but not always. Sometimes it gets confusing. For example, let's say that you're looking at 3 areas as follows. Area 1, 2, and 3. They each have 1,000 homes. They have varying turnover rates, and they have varying sales prices. So the question is, if you could pick only one area to farm, which one is best? See, once you start having different turnover rates and different sales prices, it starts to get confusing, doesn't it? Is there an easy way to make sense of all of it? Yes, there is, and it's the final part of step 2 in selecting an area. What we want to do is score the 3 areas so that we can compare apples to apples and rank them from best to worst. How do you rank them? Simply multiply the turnover rate by the average sales price, like this. Area 1, when you multiply the turnover rate times sales price, you come up with $19,250. With Area 2, you come up with $16,150. And with Area 3, you come up with $17,550. Now that you've scored them, you can rank each one based on the score. And based on scoring, in theory, Area 1 will produce best results because it scored the highest. Area 3 will produce second best results, and Area 2 will produce third best. So using this process lets you easily compare lots of areas across many price ranges and determine which areas are best to target. And then this brings up one final question. What does the score number actually mean? Don't worry about that. There's a technical answer to what it means, but it doesn't really matter. The only thing that really matters is it lets you rank the areas to know which ones are best to target. And then the third most important thing to look at is whether or not there's a dominant agent in the community already. Why is that important? Well, let me ask you a question. Which do you think is easier, dominating a community where no agent is well known, or trying to dominate a community where Amy is well known, well respected, and where every homeowner already believes that she is the best agent in their community? Yeah, you're right. It's easier to dominate someplace where no one else dominates it, isn't it? So once you rank your farm areas, the next thing to consider is there any one agent who dominates the listings? And typically, domination means that someone has at least 25% or more of the listings. So if an area had 40 sales in last year, what you're looking for is, did any one agent have at least 10 of those sales? And if so, we recommend crossing that area off your list and going somewhere else. If you do, you'll earn more money quicker. So turnover rate, average sales price, and determining whether or not there's a dominant agent are the three primary things to consider when selecting a farm. If you focus on those three and nothing else, you'll do really well picking out a great farm. However, if you want to get a little bit more granular in your research, there are a few other things you can research. Each of these are important, but in most cases, they only add incremental value to the overall selection process. Now, the first is what we call success rate of listings in the area. In other words, if 40 homes sold last year, how many of those homes had attempted to be sold? If only 40 homes went on the market and 40 homes sold, that's a 100% success rate. That means if you list a home, you're almost guaranteed it'll sell. However, what if you found that 120 homes went on the market and only 40 sold? Then that's only a 1/3 success rate, and that means if you list a home there, you're likely going to have a hard time selling it. A second thing to consider is how long does it take for the average home to sell? We call this days on market. And since you only get paid once a home sells, doesn't it make sense to find areas where they sell quickly? The quicker they sell, the faster you get paid. So when you look at days on the market, there's no right number. It's all relative. If one area has an average of 29 days on the market and another has an average of 129 days on the market, then if all else is equal, you'd want to pick the area that sells in only 29 days. Now, a final thing to consider that can make a big impact financially when you find areas with the right ingredients is what we call sales trending. Sales trending is what's really going on sales-wise. Sometimes you find what looks like a hot area that's quickly dying and drying up. So if you spent time and money marketing to it, you'll end up with smaller returns than targeting somewhere else. Conversely, you may find what we call sleeper areas where no one else is marketing to that, and it's quickly becoming the hot area in your town. If you identify it first and start marketing to it before anyone else, you can make a huge financial gain and become the dominant agent much faster. So how do you determine the sales trend of an area? Well, what you do is you determine the turnover rate for different periods of time to see if the trend is increasing, decreasing, or remaining steady. For example, if you're looking at an area, calculate the turnover rate for the last 12 months, and then go 6 months backwards, and then calculate their turnover rate for the previous 12 months from that point. And then go back another 6 months and calculate their turnover rate for the previous 12 months before that time frame. Once you calculate these various turnover rates, do they show a trend? If they do, how does that trend compare to the other areas that you're looking for? Now, as the old saying goes, a rising tide raises all boats. Sometimes a rising market raises the turnover rate of all areas. So looking at sales trends in only one area may not tell you much. However, if you take the time to do a sales trend analysis in all the areas you're considering, you may find an area that has a lower than normal turnover rate now, but the trends are indicating it's quickly picking up speed. And if you find an area like that, you may want to invest in it so when it becomes really hot, you're the agent that people go to. So wow, that's a lot of information, isn't it? If you feel overwhelmed with all this, don't worry. It's okay. Just focus on the main things: turnover rate, average sales price, and does any agent dominate the area already? If that's all you do, you're going to do really well. Now, the most important thing is to not get caught up in the details, but as Nike says, just do it. Okay? Farming is a very profitable way to build a business. It's a long-term investment to produce an amazing six-figure career income. Start with a farm you can afford and then build from there. So what expectations should you have in building a farm? First, you need to be able to afford it for an extended period of time until it starts producing for you. When you consider affording it, what that really means is you need to be mailing your farm 12 to 18 times a year. So determine what the cost is per home to mail 12 to 18 times a year, then determine what monthly budget you can afford, and then that will help you determine how big of a farm you can focus on. Now, if you take the traditional approach to real estate farming, you need to keep it up for 1.5 to 2 years before you can expect your first listing, and 3 to 5 years before you expect to dominate it. In fact, here's a quote by Mike Ferry, one of the top real estate coaches in America. He was talking about real estate farming, and he said, "How long do you think it takes to get the public to remember who you are and then remember to call you? From the research we've done, it will take up to 3 years of nonstop marketing before somebody will recognize not only who you are, but then actually call you." However, if you take the listing grabber approach to real estate farming, you'll frequently have your first listing within 3 to 9 months and dominate it much, much faster. In fact, here's a quote by one of our clients. He said, "We had 3 listings in our first 2 months with Listing Grabber, and then at the end of our first year, Listing Grabber continues to be one of the most effective marketing tools I've ever used in my 15 years in real estate. I currently have $89,326 in gross commission income from Listing Grabber in just the last 4 months, and 10 new listing leads from the most recent mailing." So if you're serious about real estate farming, contact us for a live demo of our services at thelistinggrabber.org. We'll show you how we apply these best practices in farming to create what we call hyper farming, farming that produces faster results and more results than any traditional method has ever been able to achieve. Just visit us at thelistinggrabber.org.